and eventually there was a massive hole where they tried to repeatedly fix it, and it just kept coming through, and I kept telling them it kept coming through to the point where somebody came to paint a ceiling that was plastered and still leaking again. And that, it was just crazy. I had to eventually go 14 years later to a solicitor.
14 years?
Yep, 14 years later to a solicitor finally to get my the disrepair sorted. When the solicitor contacted the housing literally lied, fought, and everything. They said they had no correspondence from me whatsoever before 2020, which is a downright lie. And they fixed the kitchen, apparently, but they haven't. It literally ruined my kitchen even more.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to the point where both fans are connected from kitchen to the bathroom. So the mold now is in the bathroom and in the kitchen, and you can literally see where it's coming through the bathroom to the kitchen. I think the first time I phoned was about a month ago, because nobody's just listening. It's getting very tiresome to keep phoning them. And they keep throwing it around and nobody knows the story. I had to phone my MP the other day.
Yes.
It was for tweeting, my lady MP for tweeting, and which who I phoned in 2020 as well, because obviously they said they were still fighting me about it. And they said they did contact them then, but nobody has responded.
Yeah. And so when you hear Michael Gove then saying that these problems have gone unaddressed for far too long, he's talking about damp and mold, that he's placing social housing providers on notice. Do you want to see action rather than hear words then? What does that action need to look like?
Action and justice. Action and justice. You heard how many years I said I was going through this, and not only going through it, they would be blaming me. How the hell, I don't know how the hell they thought I would got onto the roof and sorted out what I have no clue. But I was literally getting the blame for this. They fought me, then they blanked me and ignored me. I had twins, as I told you. One of them was special needs, and he was £1.6 at birth, and I had to bring him home to this house and keep the kitchen closed.
Yeah.
Now, at the moment, I'm having respiratory problems, and I'm now, because of this situation, it's enlightened me to go now to the doctors and see whether or not this is an issue, because there's literally dust coming from my ear, from the attic.
And obviously it is social housing, but nonetheless it is still a property. It still has value. I'm amazed by so much about this, but not least the fact that the people who ultimately own the property seem to have no interest in maintaining their property.
And can I say something else about that? Every person, every organisation, every individual that I've gone for to help, and they said to me, okay, where do you live? Are you in council housing association? I'll say housing association. I'll say, okay, who's your housing association? And I'll say, can I say it?
Can you say the name of it?
The housing association, yeah.
It's not necessary, I think, for the conversation.
Okay, fine. Well, I tell them the housing association, and they go, oh.
Right.
Because
so it has a reputation.
Yes. Everybody who's tried to deal with them with regards to any form of complaint, obviously, because the people that I'm going to are people who are complaining to about these people, and they will say the same thing.
Denise, thank you for that in Tooting. 03456060973. I read an email a couple of moments ago. No name on the email from someone suggesting that £10 or a £10 fix as found on Google would have sorted this problem. Here is Howard, who says £10 would have sorted this out if the parent had sorted it out in the beginning. And all that's needed for ventilation is to open a window. If I didn't open my bathroom and kitchen window, I would start to get mold too. And yes, I live in a housing association property. Well, Howard, you do rather imply that you know more about this case than the coroner, who of course had to investigate and report on the death of this 2-year-old boy. Again, the words of the coroner in this case. Furthermore, I find, as a matter of fact, that the ventilation in the bathroom was not effective. There was a lack of ventilation in the kitchen, and an overall lack of an effective ventilation system in the property. That is not the same as saying the family could have opened a couple of windows. An overall lack of an effective ventilation system in the property. She says this was a direct contributing factor in the development of the mold. I am, on this occasion, going to listen to the views of the coroner rather than you, Howard. LBC News Time at 1:30, the headlines, Tim Daly.
Police have arrested a man on suspicion of murder after two young girls, aged 3 and 1, were killed in a fire at a flat in Nottingham. Emergency services were called to the Clifton area of the city during the early hours of Sunday morning. President Joe Biden has called for a ban on assault weapons after a nightclub shooting in the United States, which has killed 5 people. 25 more were injured at the venue in Colorado Springs. Customers are being hailed heroes for making sure the gunman didn't kill anybody else. And one of the country's leading trade unions is warning the fear of pension poverty is haunting workers when they consider retiring. Unite says it's commissioned research which shows 2/3 of people think the state pension is too small to live on. LBC weather becoming chilly with a frost in rural parts around the country, patchy fog in the north and also in the east. Cloud, wind and rain will push into the southwest overnight with a low of -1 degree.
This is LBC.
The Subway festive stack.
Oh, what's that then?
It's a turkey sub with maple smoked bacon and hash browns.
Let's give it a try.
Now dip it in the gravy.
Ah, yeah, that's well nice.
How about a side of pigs and blankets? Feed your festive spirit with Subway's new menu.
Yeti was having a bad fur day. Again. Oh, love. So when he heard there was up to 40% off in the Amazon Black Friday week, he treated himself to a volumizing hairdryer. So he could be furry and fabulous. Big fly, hairy guy. Get up to 40% off in the Amazon Black Friday week. Ends 28th of November.
There's a heavy little bear at the end of my bed.
I'm hiding from ID.
Stop intimidating.
You could get a better phone deal. ID Mobile will take you up to £140 in their Black Friday event.
I must be dreaming.
99% UK coverage does feel like a dream, but I'm very real, Alan. Switch and save today. Offers end 29th of November, while stocks last.
Is Dad there? Hiya, yeah, we're both here. You're on speakerphone, love. So, I've got something to tell you. I'm getting married. We're engaged. Oh, congratulations.
You make the moments that matter. We just sent the flowers. Zingflowers.com. For beautiful bouquets, plants and gifts. Order before 9 p.m. for next day delivery. See website for details. Zing Flowers. Amazing every time.
Does your broadband slither around your home? And at peak times, do things feel a little constricted? Well, not when you get full fiber broadband from EE. You get the peak time speeds you pay for. Count on EE, full fiber broadband, powered by BT. Limited availability. Check coverage at EE.org. Social media for a better world.
It's all good on We Are 8. Download the app for free and join us on We Are 8.
We are 8.
This is LBC with Adam. Call 0345. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
James emailed to say, what about the onus that needs to be on private housing associations? Jay mentioned his association, which I'm not going to mention, but I will read the rest of the email. Jay says, I'm in Hackney with one of these private associations. I've repeatedly emailed them to carry out repairs, which don't get done. This goes back 2 years now. I have major mold in my kids' room. No one does anything about it, and yet our council tax is being allowed to go up along with my ground rent, says Jay. Charles in Hampstead. Morning, Charles.
Yeah, good morning, Darren. I've got
house that I rent out, I had to. I didn't wish to, but I had to. Because of circumstances. It is rented to a housing association for social housing. It's not what I wanted. I went to a high street agency and they did a company that, but they never told me it was housing association. Anyway, I've got a lady in there with 5 children. Now, she's doing washing, cooking. It has got mold. It's not that bad, but it's getting worse because I've asked it to air the house, which doesn't air it. Now, 3 of the doors have been kicked off the hinges. The front door was kicked in. She went away for 6 months and sublet the property. And I've just about had enough now. In fact, I'm writing a inspection report that I did, and
you've got bad tenants then through the social housing agency.
She's a decent woman, but she just doesn't clean the place.
Right. Well, look, you mentioned the mold problem firstly. I think as it relates to the conversation that we've had about this young boy who died.
On the landing, in the hallway, right, there's nothing up in the door.
Right. It is the case, as we've said, and I've mentioned the coroner's words a couple of times, in the case of Awam Ishak, the family went on to believe there was a lack of structural ventilation in that flat, which led to the death of that young boy. Your contention is that there is some mold that's being caused in the way that you're tenant to avoid.
Definitely, because it's got air vents in all the windows. I've never known a bathroom window to rust from the inside out.
Right.
Like the bathroom. Right, because they don't open the window. It's got air vents in the window, and she's drying her clothes on the landing. She's drying her clothes on all the radiators. 3 of the doors have been kicked off. 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs. The door underneath the stairs has come away from the hinges. The front door was kicked in by somebody. Like, it is a beautiful house, and and then when I go to sell it, I've got to pay 30% in capital gain.
Well, I can see that is going to be heartbreaking. It's your property and it's not being treated properly. Do you have any comeback with the social housing association? Do they take on any of the responsibility?
No. And the way it works, for example, it is a big, I wouldn't say a con, but because they assure you the rent, they guarantee rent. So for argument's sake, I get paid £1,200 a month. They will charge, but the government or the council, they will charge them £800 a month. So they're making £600 out of a property that they don't even own.
Right. Why did you hesitate when you were told that it was going to be essentially a social let? I think you said at the start of the conversation that's not what you wanted. Why was that a concern?
Because I normally would have gone privately. It's not that I'm in the business, I'm not in the business. But then when I said fine, and I said, well, who's in there? And he said, a single mother with 5 children. I said, well, it's not the sort of person I would have put into a 3-bedroom house. It's too small for them. Yeah, but they made one of the rooms downstairs for the lounge, but they divided it up, made it into a bedroom. So now it's like a 4-bedroom house, but it's not.
Just the reason I asked is that I've got a friend who is from Aberdeen, but she now works in Belfast. She had a property in Aberdeen, which in her absence she let out. And obviously that's all done privately, and she was posting the most heartbreaking photos on Facebook a few weeks ago of the damage that was done by a private tenant in her absence. So there's obviously no guarantee, is there, that a social tenant's going to mistreat a property and a private tenant isn't?
I don't think most landlords, I don't think they make money out of the rent. I think they make money from the property going up, but they usually that when they do sell it, but they'll have to pay 30% in capital gain.
Yeah. Charles, thank you for that. I hope there is some resolution. It doesn't sound like anyone is benefiting particularly from the situation that you're in, all those tenants are in. And I think you're right. I think they ought to be in a bigger property, apart from anything else. Mary in Kilmarnock. Morning, Mary.
Morning, Darren.
Hello.
Hi, Darren. This Business of Housing Association, as you might remember, I worked with the local authority for some years. I was in the front line of getting complaints about repairs needed to various properties.
Yes.
Now, housing associations, they were basically set up almost to be offshoots of the local authorities.
Yes.
Because basically, the majority of them are registered as charities, and therefore they can have access to apply for grants that the local authorities can't apply for.
I've never really understood their charitable status. It's a slightly odd designation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But even on the local authority housing application form,
Yes.
when an applicant signs a declaration, the sign about to say that the details can be referred to these associations. The best example I had of somebody reporting damp in their flat was when they arranged the inspector to call. They had to change the time to an afternoon appointment because her husband worked nights. And when the inspector got there, he said to her, "You changed your appointment?" She said, "Yes, because my husband works nights." He said, "That's the reason for your damp, because there's somebody breathing in the room all the time."
Well, I don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah. Well, as it happened, they actually got another flat,
Yes.
but that flat was it was a first floor flat of 2 floors. The chimney was replaced because there was obviously they were replacing lots of the chimneys.
Yes.
And when they had replaced the roof tiles, the roof tiles aren't even.
Right. Because it should be possible, shouldn't it, for a property to be able to withstand humans breathing in it.
Exactly. But even when they were getting various rooms refurbished, like their bathrooms and kitchens, by golly, that's when the complaints started flooding in. Like they were putting extractor fans in kitchens, and they were finishing up on a Friday and leaving the great holes in the wall and said, "Oh, we'll be back Monday."
Mary, thank you. In Kilmarnock, this is Ben who says, "I've lived in a housing association property for several years. We had black mould and damp dripping all over the walls in our bedroom due to faulty windows and plaster falling off the wall in our other rooms. The housing association refused to deal with it despite my partner being a steroid inhaler. And we spent far more than a tenner on anti-mold paint and treatments and kept coming back until much later they redid the windows for all the flats." Ben, thank you very much. Do you know what? Even if it had been possible in this case to fix it all for it, even if that were possible, right? Firstly, I think that is probably what the parent in question would have done. Secondly, none of that means it isn't the responsibility of the housing association. In this case, Rochdale Borough-wide Housing. The boss of him was fired eventually after trying to hang on to his job. He was fired on Saturday. Even if £10 would have fixed it, which I don't believe for a minute, even if that was the case, it would still have been the responsibility of Rochdale Borough-wide Housing to do something about this. Not least because it's their property. They own it. You would think on some level they would have an interest in it not collapsing or becoming uninhabitable because of mold, and certainly not getting into a state where a 2-year-old boy could have died because of a respiratory illness brought on by exposure to the mold. LBC 143.
This is LBC.
The best thing about Christmas is you can treat yourself to everything you want. You just have to say, well, it is Christmas. Oh yeah, Toblerone-inspired latte. Well, it is Christmas. Another Toblerone latte. Well, if you look at the date, I think you'll find it's still Christmas. Wait, a Toblerone latte? Through the Costa machines. Or one. Well, it is Christmas.
Our Toblerone-inspired lattes are available now in Costa Express machines. So come and get Christmassy with Costa Coffee. Subject to availability. Toblerone is a trademark of the Mondelez International Group. Terms and conditions at costa.co.uk.
Make memories in Madeira with Jet2 Holidays. You can visit vibrant local markets, take the kids on an adventurous jeep tour, hop on a traditional basket ride, or even enjoy spotting dolphins and whales, all under the year-round sun. So, what are you waiting for? Book Madeira now, with free child places available. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. International protected. Subject to availability and conditions. The Sky Connect Black
Friday sale is now on. Just half price for 12 months on all business broadband packages, so you can stay better connected for less. With prices as low as $14.95 a month. And switching is simple thanks to our dedicated account managers who are with you every day.